My name is Gianna, and I'm going to be talking about my Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer diagnosis. I'm not really good with traditional sit-down videos, so I decided to film like get ready with me type of video, and I decided to do a green makeup look because that is the lymphoma ribbon color for the cancer. So I really hope you guys like this video. Sorry for my awkwardness, and thanks for watching. Start with how I got diagnosed. We probably need to go back about a year or so. So, by the way, I'm not going to talk about my products and hold them up as I go through just because I don't want to disrupt the story. So I'm just going to link them either below or just put them titles on the side so you know what I'm using in case you're interested. 2 base facts about me. I get anxiety, which I feel like everyone on YouTube who doesn't, but it's true. I can get really bad anxiety attacks. And then the other thing is I have a horse that actually lives in the Midwest that I go and I ride. His name's Alfie. He's an American saddlebred, and I compete in shows with him. So I do this every summer. I've been doing it since I was like 13 years old, and I would say for the symptoms, according to my doctors and my whole cancer care team, I started noticing symptoms probably about a year or so, but at the time I did not realize there were symptoms whatsoever. I was going to school, I was working, I'm 21 years old, I didn't go out and party, I was too busy for that, but I just brushed it off my shoulder as if it was me, just being a normal, tired, person, and everyone knows that at this point at my job, because I also bartend. It was almost like a personality trait at this point. People would be like, hey, how are you doing? You're tired. And I just agree because it was true. I felt like I was always tired. But I just figured it's because I've always been a pretty active person. I always have something going on. I'm also a musician. I play handbells. I'm in 2 different groups. So I just thought I was spreading my time just a little bit too thin, and that's why I was tired all the time. The first physical symptom that I noticed that, like I said, at the time I didn't realize was a symptom because I was tying it to other issues that I have, like asthma, anxiety. I started getting chest pains, and so I was riding my horse and I was nervous about showing. It was my first show back, and I had the most intense pain in my chest and kind of like right in the middle of my abdomen, but mostly like right here in the center of my chest. And stopped my horse, jumped off, and I linked it to anxiety. Like I was just having an anxiety attack, kind of like how you can like pull a muscle, which I've done before. I've had an anxiety attack where I've had pain, but this is the first time where it was so intense and in my chest, just sitting right there in the middle, and it was almost like a sharp, like, this sounds dramatic, but it was almost like I was shot. Like it just felt very specific and localized, and it hurt to breathe in, it hurt to breathe out, it hurt to move. So I just thought it was like a muscle spasm from my anxiety. And like I said, I brushed it off. And then that would happen in and throughout the summer. Not usually, like, it wouldn't last too long. Like an episode, the longest an episode lasts is like maybe a couple hours. But like especially at night, sometimes like when I would get anxious, I would overwork myself or overthink things, and I would sit there and lay there at night and the chest pain would come back. So I just linked it to anxiety at the time. Those were the first physical symptoms that I could think of that I felt, but at the time I had no clue that they were even linked to this, and that was a whole little bit over a year back. So it was just awkward because I have asthma, so I also kind of linked it to asthma, maybe like when it hurt to breathe in, which isn't a good thing. You should still get checked out if you're having any trouble breathing whatsoever. Just because you have asthma or not, get checked out. You never know. My motto is rather be safe than sorry. I feel that too often in the beginning. It only happened here or there, and then it started happening more over time. Then again, I was still linking it to anxiety at the time. Now at this point, I'm tired all the time. Now, as the years going on, I'm getting some of these chest pains. They're happening more and more frequently, but still, I'm not catching on. I'm still tired. I'm getting more and more tired as it goes on. I get sick all the time. I was getting sick, and this is gonna sound like so repetitive, but I kept constantly making excuses just because, looking back on it, I made these excuses because I had nothing to link them to. Like, I had no idea that chest pain that you get sometimes when, you know, I was being active or nervous, what happened was linked to anything that I was feeling. And then I started getting really sick all the time. Like, constant colds, like constant, like I'd have a cold sometimes for like a month. Alright, sorry, I did my brows off camera because 1, they're balding, 2, they're uneven, and 3, I have not the proper setup in order for me to do them close up so you can see them very well, so my apologies on that, but trust me, it's nothing special. At this point, it's the beginning of March, and I was starting to feel super tired, super drained, the chest pains are happening way more often than they should, and that's definitely when I started to get a gut feeling that something is up. My first initial thought was that maybe it was a thyroid issue. My grandmother has thyroid issues, and it would make a lot of sense to the fatigueness. At the time too, my weight wasn't anything drastic. Like, my doctors asked me like, oh, did you notice any weight gain or weight loss? 1, I wasn't really weighing myself. That was a really tough battle because I really don't know what at the time, I kind of wish, looking back on it, I had known, because that probably would have been, you know, something that I would have looked at sooner, you know, if I had realized how much my weight was fluctuating. But I just, you know, I've always been that person, like, when I bloat, and that's just how it is. Nothing you can do about it. So as we get into March, that's when shit finally hit the fan. I remember this specifically. It was a Monday, and my boyfriend Oscar, he said it was our day off, and we were lounging around, and I slept all day. And then I woke up like for an hour, ate some dinner. He said, you know, you're so tired. I can't believe you're so tired. Like, we slept all day. We've hung out together. I can't believe you're so tired. I cleaned up. I went and cleaned my car while you were napping, and I came back, and when you ate dinner, and you went right back to bed. I can't believe how tired you were. And I said, I know, that's so weird, right? Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I need to go to the doctor's. I should schedule an appointment, because now at this point, I can't make an excuse. Like, there's no reason to sleep, like, literally almost a 20-hour day and still feel exhausted. Like, something is wrong. Little did I know. So the very next day, you know, after, you know, this was the morning of that talk where he said, you're so tired, you shouldn't be this tired. And I agreed. He had work that day, and I decided to go visit a coworker because I had work that night. And me and my coworker, I love her to death. And as I'm driving, I was really itchy, which is another symptom, but this is the first time I really felt like that itch, which is what was crazy. Or maybe I had felt it before, but I didn't realize it. But I remember like being like, oh my gosh, I'm so itchy. And I go and I scratch myself like this because I was wearing a tank top, and I just felt this huge lump, which you can see the scar actually from my biopsy. I go like this and I feel this huge lump. And being the hypochondriac that I am, but also the gut feeling, the minute I felt the lump, and I'm going and I'm driving. No joke, I get to the sandwich shop. Luckily I was right there, and I sit in the car and I start like feeling my clavicle, you know, like my neck area. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my god, I have cancer. Like, this is a tumor. Which I'm sure everybody does, but I was dead serious already. Like, looking back on it, I'm like, oh man, if it's one of those things where you don't want to be right, but you know you're right, and when you tell people that you're right, it's just one of those things. Anyways, I'm going and I feel it. It was pretty small. I mean, it didn't feel super big. Like, you could definitely feel like it was a good size, but like the minute I went like this and I stretched out my neck and I pushed it out, it was about the size of a golf ball. It was huge, and it was very rubbery, and then to make it even worse, when I went back like this, if I like rolled my shoulder back, I could feel even more of them going down into my neck. And like in that instant moment, I thought, oh my fucking god, I shit you not. In that moment, I went, oh my gosh, I have cancer. Which is every like hypochondriac's dream, right? To self-diagnose. go on Google and find out that you actually have what you thought you had. Immediately, I get our lunch. I got sandwiches that day. I got Subway. I know, Subway, whatever, but got Subway, ran in, and I immediately went to Jen. I said, Jen, feel my neck, and she went, "What? You're crazy. What are you talking about? Like, leave it alone." I said, "No, feel my neck. Like, I have tumors there." And she's like, "What?" And so Jen feels my neck, and at first, like, I'm looking at her, and she's like, you gotta be kidding me. And she puts her fingers, and she feels it, and I could just see her face go from, like, this calm and collected, because she's a mom, this calm and collected to, like, this feels pretty fucking serious, but I'm not gonna let you know that. So immediately she goes, you're fine, just set up a doctor's appointment. You probably have mono or something, don't even worry about it. People's lymph nodes swell up all the time because of, when they get sick, and you get sick constantly. And I was like, okay, you're right, it's true. I mean, I have cancer, but yeah, it's true. And so, I made Oscar feel it, I made some of my other coworkers feel it, and I was like, what is this, like, is it just me, or does this feel, like, hard and rubbery? Like, this does not feel like some swollen little organ, in my body. And I had like 2 people agree with me. They're like, yeah, it's probably not normal, but, you should go get it checked out before you can do anything because you're not a doctor. And everyone told me, don't go on Google, which, what do you know? I went on Google. That day, immediately, I set up a doctor's appointment, and I said I need to get in. And my doctor, like, it was very frustrating because he did not take me seriously. The minute I went online and I saw, oh my gosh, like, this could be lymphoma, I started reading the symptoms, and then that's really when my gut feeling set in, because I was reading and I was going, yep, like the fatigueness, and then it said on there sometimes a chest pain because of tumors, and then I found this article talking about how they call this the devil's node, and there's actually a really cool Latin name that they also call it, but it's basically saying that this node tends to be the cancerous one just because it's the side where it drains. Once I read that, I my gut feeling really set in, and I thought, okay, like, this definitely is something serious. Whether it turns out not to be cancer, it has to be a serious thing, because the fact that I'm having these such intense chest pains, and now I have humongous golf-sized lumps in my clavicle that I had no idea were there. It's got to be something serious. So I go to my doctor's appointment, and it was very frustrating because he was asking me things about my period and, my body. I was telling him, I said, hey, like, I understand I'm not a doctor, but I'm concerned that I have this because I have fatigueness, I have chest pains, I also have giant lumps in my neck. And it was really weird. He told me, the first thing he said, I really hardly doubt that it's Hodgkin's lymphoma or any type of lymphoma, because I usually diagnose that in children, younger than you, or people that are older than, like, 55. And I thought that was really weird because, like, when you research it, like, Hodgkin's lymphoma is very, very, very common to have in, like, your early 20s. He already rubbed me the wrong way from that point, because I think it's really wrong to tell someone that it's super rare, so it's not you. So he said, no, it's rare. I only find it in children that are, younger than you, or people that are older than you, so that's not something we need to worry about. And then he started talking to me because I was telling him about the pains that I had, like, when I sleep at night and how I would go numb and, like, tingle. He wanted to, like, so I had to lay down the table, and he's, like, trying to feel for other nodes just in case. Which, to this day, like, looking back, I really should have, like, gotten another doctor's appointment the next day, because he ended up wanting me to do blood tests and waiting 2 weeks for the blood tests, to come back. And he also wanted to do an x-ray of my pelvis because of the hip pain. And I was telling him, I said, I'm having chest pain, and I have huge ass lumps in my neck. Like, they were huge. Like, I would go, like, the minute I would pull my shoulder back and stick my neck out, you would see this giant golf ball of a mass and, like, other smaller ones in it. Like, to this day, it blows my mind that I did not catch the mass sooner, but whatever. Looking back at it, I really should have kind of stood my ground and said, hey, I really want you to check for this. So he orders blood work, and he orders a x-ray of my pelvis, And he told me that I had to wait for 2 weeks for all the tests to come back, which was another thing that I should have stood my ground. Like, I did say, because at first he wanted me to wait a whole month to see if my lymph nodes would go down, but without prescribing antibiotics. And I thought, I don't want to wait a whole month. Like, I leave to go for the show season for my horse. Like, usually I leave at the end of May, early June. And I told him, I said, no, I do not want to wait an entire month just for some simple blood test and an x-ray. Like, you guys could have that done within 2 days. Like, why would I? So he said, okay, well, let's wait 2 weeks just to see if they go down. And I said, okay. I mean, I kind of get that. We don't want to jump the gun, so we're gonna wait 2 weeks to see if my lymph nodes had, the swelling had gone down. Cut to a couple days. They call me and they say, hey, just want to let you know, like, we checked your x-ray and there's no issues whatsoever. Like, he possibly believed that I had trauma from the horses, and that's why I was feeling the pain or whatever, the static feeling. And there wasn't. At this point, they call me and they say, hey, we see nothing concerning on your x-rays, that's all clear, and we would still like to wait 2 weeks just to make sure that the swelling goes down before we proceed with trying to figure out what's wrong with you. And that was so frustrating. I should have just put my foot down and said, no, I'd like to come in next week, because they didn't even prescribe me antibiotics to see if it was like an infection going down. So then my blood result comes back, and my blood was actually really good, other than I had low blood counts, like low white blood counts and all that stuff. Those were fluctuated a little all over the city, like just a little bit below the line, or some of them were just a little bit over, but most of them were just a little bit below the normal range. So it wasn't very concerning. That doctor called me and said, hey, you'll come in next week, yada yada yada. We want to do some iron blood because I think you're anemic. Me and Oscar were talking about it, and I told him, I said, it's really frustrating. I feel like he didn't take me seriously because I was a 21-year-old person. I probably sounded like a hypochondriac going in there. But even if this is not cancer, something serious is going on. And I will never stress this enough. Always get a second opinion and be your own health advocate. That's always going to be my biggest lesson in life so far with this whole experience. Be your own advocate for your health, and go with your gut feeling and get second, third, fourth, even 5 opinions if you need it. Just make sure you're not just relying on one doctor the entire time, because you know what? I know these doctors go to school, they pay so much money to be there, they study really hard, and they work really hard to get to where they are. But sometimes having one mind on something is just not as good as when you have 4. And it's just that. And that's with any job you ever do in life. Anything you ever do in life, it's always good to have one more person's idea than just your own. So I decided that I didn't want to see that doctor, so I immediately canceled his appointment, and I set up a new appointment with some random other doctor. And that was the best thing I could have done. I wish I got to see him again. I loved my second doctor. He was amazing. The first thing when I sat down, he said, so why did you take all these blood tests and stuff? And I said, I have humongous lumps in my neck, and I'm having really bad chest pain, and I'm tired all the fucking time, and now I'm starting to sweat at night, and I don't know if that's just because I read symptoms online or what, but it's happening, and it's something serious. And he says, oh, you have lumps on your neck. Like, I've seen nothing here written in your chart. And I said, yeah. He's like, well, I don't see any lumps, because looking at me, even when I did have the tumors, this is exactly how I looked. Like, I had hair, but this was exactly how I looked. And so I said, well, this lump, and I did my thing where I pulled back. Even now, I still have a little bit because my tumors aren't gone all the way, but it's definitely not anything as drastic as it was. And I went like this, and his eyes kind of got big, and he said, I need to, so he put gloves on, wash his hands, I was feeling it. He said, did your doctor from 2 weeks ago feel this? And I said, yes, he did. And he thought I was having iron issues going on. And he said, well, if you're having chest pains, why did he get an x-ray for your pelvis? And I said, I thought the same thing. He thought I had trauma from horseback riding, which, again, I understand we want to rule everything out, but you would think that if you're going to do an x-ray, you just do the chest too, just to get it out of the way, because that's where the pain's coming from. So then he says to me, that lump in your neck is a little concerning, so I'm gonna recommend you to an ENT. It's gonna be good. You'll love her. She's really nice. She's head of the department there, because I don't want to tiptoe around this in case it really is something serious. And this is my favorite thing. He like, any doctor's ever done to me. He's sitting there typing on his computer, and he's typing in, for my chart. And he turns to me and says, "You're 21. I know you go online and read things. What do you think it is, and what have you read?" And he made me tell him everything, like every concern. And I told him, I said, well, I read a lymphoma, read it, and I, read all these cancer blogs, all these things, and I'm really getting a gut feeling that it's Hodgkin's lymphoma. So he says, interesting, and I agree. Which, that was the first kind of breath of relief, because for a while I felt really crazy complaining about my symptoms, because they didn't, even though they were real, they also didn't feel real. Like, I felt like I was just one of those typical 21-year-olds that was complaining and saying, oh my gosh, I don't feel good today, I'm so tired, I have anxiety. Like, it was just one of those things, like, sorry about my dog. It was just one of those things where I was complaining. I felt like I was complaining about something I shouldn't have complained about, because I have other people in my life that have, like, chronic illnesses or other issues that are way bigger at the time than mine. And I just thought it wasn't my place. Like, it's not fair for me as a 21-year-old to complain about my body hurting when, I have friends with bulged disc and, sciatica issues. So that night, I actually go and I meet up with my coworker before work, and we're actually sitting, and we're just having, like, a little dinner. And I'm just telling her, saying, like, yeah, it's been really weird. Like, I have, like, something going on. I don't really know what's going on. I'm sitting there, and I get the call from my doctor from that day, and he calls me and he says, hey, I just want to let you know we did the x-ray. In your x-ray, I can see that you have a few masses, it looks like, which are probably other lymph nodes that are enlarged. So I think it was the right thing to refer you to an ENT, because I think that's the step we need to go, because if I can see that on the x-ray, And he said, sorry, that's Coda. Yeah, I know. I'll come cuddle you after. Even though that got a little bit more terrifying, like, that really just kind of put the nail, not in the coffin, but it really gave me a, okay, this is really happening feeling. So the week goes by, and I go to the ENT. And the ENT, she was super nice. She felt it and immediately, heard my symptoms and said, I think you could possibly have lymphoma. I don't know which one. We won't know until we do a biopsy, and I want to get you in for a biopsy as soon as possible, because I think you're right. I think the doctor you just saw was right, and I want to get ahead of this while we can. And I was actually really relieved to hear that, because I was kind of like, yes, like, get this moving. Like, I hate waiting. I don't care what you have to do. I don't want to wait. I just want to get it done. And so she set me up to get a biopsy, which is what you can see right here from my scar, and to remove what they could to at least get a sample so they can see what it is, because it's the only way. So that Friday I went in for the surgery. Over the weekend I recovered during the weekend, and I was miserable. And Monday was my birthday. It's my 22nd birthday, and she calls me and she says, hey, I want to let you know that it is a cancerous tumor. We're testing it right now to see which type it is, but it's definitely cancerous. And that was definitely not a good birthday. I sat in bed all day and watched movies. Just sat there miserable because I didn't know how to tell my family or my friends that, like, the doctor just called and confirmed that it was definitely cancer. So then the next day I get a professional call saying, hey, I just want to let you know that it's definitely Hodgkin's lymphoma. I'm going to set up a CT with contrast and a PET scan, all that stuff, and we're going to stage you, and next week we are going to have you meet with an oncologist team and get you started. And that was a little bit, that was, bless you. Oh my gosh, I love this color that I have from MAC. It's so pretty. So, yeah, I got diagnosed, and then a week later I went and saw my cancer care team, and they set me up. They said, this is the chemo you're gonna get. You're gonna do ABVD. You're gonna get it every other week, and you'll have it for 6 months. And the thing I learned from the CT scan is that I had a 7-inch tumor that went down, and then a 4-inch tumor across. And that's why I was having chest pains. So no, I was not having chest pain from anxiety. I was not having chest pains from any pulled muscles. I was having chest pain because I had a big ass tumor in my chest. Man, do I look stupid now. Alright, and then I think I'm gonna pop my wig on just for fun. This is my first video, so thank you so much for watching, especially if you watched all the way to the end. I think I'm gonna do more videos, probably about like what's in my chemo bag, and more makeup videos obviously, because I love playing with makeup and I have nothing better to do. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this. It means a lot to me. I really hope you guys like this video. Sorry for my awkwardness, and thanks for watching.